Ever since Moana came out, Disney fans have been wondering about several plot holes that were never really addressed. These theories are actually so believable, we really need Disney to come and verify it. Don't forget to hit that notification bell to never miss another video, and be sure to check out our community section for even more fun. Now let's check out these crazy Moana theories.
Is there something you want to tell me?
Is there something you want to hear?
Let's get right to the point, because we have a lot to cover. These theories are absolutely crazy, but they actually kind of connect with one another. Connection to Te Fiti. So the very first Moana theory focuses on the fact that Moana and her ancestors are descendants of the demigod Te Fiti. But they might be slightly more than that. The first clue that would make this theory seem plausible is the fact that Moana's grandma, as crazy as she seems, clearly has powers.
I'm the village crazy lady. That's my job.
Her dancing talent is obviously the best part, but have you noticed that the stingrays obey her and dance with her? That's not normal no matter how connected island people would be to the water. Sure, it's Disney, so anything is possible, but what if there's more to it? Of course, when the grandma passes, she also turns into a stingray, just as she predicted on her tattoo. There has to be something magical behind it, right? But it's not just the grandma. Moana exhibits supernatural strength too. Remember how she easily pushed over the Maui statue when she was trapped in the cave? She's also an incredible climber and seems to figure things out really fast. Come on, would you be able to exit that cave in the same way she did? She also shows a lot of force when she hits things like coconuts. She even managed to knock down Maui with the oar. And considering how big Maui is, you have to admit that she showed some serious strength. When she first meets Maui, she hits him with the oar and he reacts. Of course, the reaction isn't as strong as getting hit by Tamatoa and Tika, but it definitely shows she hurt him several times, at least in the way she reacts to being hit. Of course, anyone would flinch if they would be hit by an oar, but come on, just look how big Maui is. An oar would probably break on him and not cause him any pain at all. So where does Te Fiti come in all of this? Don't worry, it'll all make sense in a bit. The theme of the movie is the cooperation between the ocean and Te Fiti. We see that Teka can't touch the ocean without being hurt, which is why the ocean can't be the one that returns the heart. The ocean clearly doesn't care about Maui, who's actually its demigod. So who does it turn to? Moana. So what if Moana is actually Te Fiti's demigod? They do look alike anyways, don't they? This also makes sense from the point that the symbol featured on the heart is the same symbol on Moana's boat. If the ocean and Teka can't work together, what if their demigods can? Of course, in this case, we mean Maui and Moana. So how does this all make sense? It's all down to mythological symbolism. Moana the movie comes with a lot of symbolism that takes root from several different cultures, and we all know that in Greek mythology, various leaders were actually descendants of Greek gods. We all know Te Fiti basically created the islands from the ocean and filled them up with life, which probably includes humans too. So what if she actually also picked a human to become her demigod? Maui's backstory also confirms people can actually become demigods, so this would make sense. The humans, which would be voyagers, would be guided and led by an actual chosen one. Isn't that exactly what Moana's ancestors were doing and what Moana did too? Moana's dad clearly skipped the chosen one generation, and maybe that's precisely why he was so upset at the whole situation. Maybe all the village chiefs were demigods apart from him, which is why he didn't feel as confident going beyond the reef.
No one goes beyond the reef.
He thought he could do it, but he failed, which cost him his best friend's life. Honestly, we could go on and on about this. Are you on board now? Okay, here's the next theory. Grandma Tala. You know there just has to be more to Grandma Tala than we know. She's just absolutely wonderful and one of our favorite characters. She definitely represents the village crazy ladies, and we bet every village has someone like her. Of course, we mean that in the most positive way possible, because Grandma Tala is nothing but awesome. This Reddit theory claims that Tala is actually the god of the ocean, who has chosen to come and live as a human. She's actually the one that gives Moana her epic quest. So it would make sense that she's a higher power that's more involved in the whole thing than we think. Remember when Grandma actually said to Moana that her dad was basically just like Moana? This was to show that he had exactly the same wishes to cross the reef. But what if she sent him on the exact same mission too? Remember when she also said she was there the day the ocean chose her? Well, we didn't see her. So what if she was actually the ocean? We also see her in the afterlife as a stingray. It's clear that she has a similar connection to the ocean just like Moana. After she passes, she also travels with Moana, which is why we can actually see the ocean act as silly as it does. Don't you think that its humor is pretty much the same as Grandma Tala's? On top of that, Grandma Tala was actually really confident in the fact that she would become one of the stingrays after she passes. It's definitely not a coincidence. So if she is the god of the ocean, then Moana definitely has some godlike ancestry, right? There's kind of more to Grandma Tala than you think. Well, more than already being awesome. She might have a quite interesting past according to these theories. Another theory states that Grandma Tala could potentially be Maui's mother. So let's consider that she actually is the spirit of the ocean. Since Maui is the ocean's demigod, how would all of that work? This is where the whole thing gets really interesting. What if Grandma Tala was actually Maui's mother, and she knew he was a demigod from the beginning? Maui questions why his human parents gave him up, but what if they were not human? What if it was Tala, who has thrown him into the sea and let the ocean take care of, and the ocean was actually her, but she never revealed it? And we know Maui can do anything but float. That's a pretty specific disability for a demigod, right? So what if Grandma Tala was the one that made floating, which would basically mean floating across the ocean, impossible for Maui? Because moms have to enforce some boundaries after all. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so where does that leave Moana? Well, if her dad is actually Tala's son, she clearly has some demigod genes in her, right? It definitely wouldn't be surprising to see that she's got some supernatural powers. The final Moana is a demigod theory is actually pretty straight to the point. This is the one that is perhaps the most popular by Disney fans. It's the perfect theory that actually has people's minds blown, and they change the way they see Moana's character. Seriously, wait until you hear this. Why do people spend so much time theorizing this movie, you ask? Well, when you have kids, you're kind of forced to watch Moana over and over again. So we can thank them for this final theory that's absolutely nuts. So let's be realistic. In the first part of the movie, Moana was totally unequipped and unqualified to deal with the ocean. Like, seriously, girl? What were you even thinking? She didn't even know how to sail, and we're pretty sure that's something she should practice before getting literally thrown into the ocean. As much as she wished to go out and sail across the reef, that came with consequences, something her and her dad had in common. It took her a while to get the courage, and it was only after Grandma Tala told her that this was what she was supposed to do. That she was the chosen one and all of that.
The ocean chose you. Follow the fishhook.
So Moana then heads out to her epic quest once again, leaving Pua the pig behind to avoid him having the same faith as her dad's best friend. Pua's story is never revealed, and he doesn't really play an important part in the movie, but we're pretty sure that's the reason the pig didn't join her. Of course, things aren't easy the second time around either. Moana asks the ocean for help after not knowing what to do, and the ocean delivers in the weirdest way possible. This is where things get a bit weird, but try to follow us. Moana enters a horrible storm, and for some strange Disney reason, the storm perfectly washes her up on Maui's island. Yeah, thanks for the help, ocean. We're sure there were way better ways to help Moana, so why did the ocean choose this horrible way that could cause a lot of damage? She wasn't able to sail at all, and suddenly she's found Maui's island? That's a pretty weird coincidence, right? If this would be the case, everyone would voluntarily get thrown into storms and wait for the best outcome. We know that didn't work for Anna and Elsa's parents. RIP. Okay, back to the subject. Why didn't Moana ask the ocean to take her to Maui's island in the first place? Well, the theory has it that Moana has actually lost her life during the storm, and the ocean turned her into a demigod. This would explain a point from our first theory, where we see Moana exhibiting a lot of strength. She's able to move a massive 5-ton statue. She can fight, she can take down coconut pirates like it's nobody's business, and she's pretty much fearless. The change in her attitude is instant, and to be honest, it's hard to believe she could have so much adrenaline just from finding Maui. So what if that's the solution? Moana became a demigod when the storm washed her up on Maui's island. Don't believe it? Well, we know that Maui was thrown into the sea as a baby, but we also know that he was saved by what he calls gods, which could also be the sea. He, a human, was then given powers. Well, hold on a minute. Isn't that exactly what happened to Moana? She was practically thrown into the sea and saved by the ocean. So where's the powers bit? It's there. It just wasn't obvious. The ocean helped her in the most brutal way ever. It drowned her, and in exchange, Moana became immortal. You know where this also makes sense. When they jump into the realm of monsters, you heard it from Maui himself. No mortal could ever jump in the realm and survive.
No mortal's gonna jump into the realm of...
He even says that Moana is pretty much done for as she lands on the ground. But by some miracle, she survives it without even a scratch. Come on! Maui was more hurt in this movie than Moana, and they went through totally similar stuff. Moana is clearly powerful enough to be the superior demigod, even to Maui. Connect all of that to the theory that Grandma Tala is actually the ocean to fully have your mind fully blown. Seriously, we need Disney to come and confirm or deny these theories because they seem pretty believable. The best part is that Moana clearly has plenty of mythology in it, so literally anything could happen. The whole thing about Grandma Tala is honestly mind-blowing, and it kind of deserves its own movie. Just imagine a whole movie about baby Maui. Hands up if you'd watch that. What do you think? Is Moana actually a demigod and more powerful than Maui? Come let us know what you think in the comments, and let's get to the bottom of this. And that's it for our video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.